What's going on, guys? My name is MrHurriicane, and today I wanted to recap the Season 2 off-season for the Minnesota Gophers Dynasty. I did the live stream on Wednesday, and it went really well. A lot of people showed up. We had a really fun time. It was 4 hours of live streaming, and it actually had to be 2 separate streams because it crashed at one point. But if you want to watch the long, extended version of the off-season, links are in the description for that. But this is a 12-minute recap of the 4 hours. And first up, we are recapping Season 2, and you can see we went 6-7 once again. The first 2 years in the series have had identical records and identical finishes with losses in bowl games. The stats on the year: Philip Nelson, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, with 71% completion percentage. We turned into a really run-focused team around midway through the season when we started using more of the pistol offense and finding better ways to use it. Kirkwood almost ran for 1,000 yards, but he did catch 50 passes, as Andre McDonald had 66 receptions. Our leading receiver in both yards and receptions is returning for his 3rd and final season in this series, so 4 years at Minnesota. And on defense, of course, we all know Devondre Campbell was a beast, and Damian Wilson played 2 very good years at middle linebacker in this series, but he graduates, and I think he's the biggest loss on defense. And we also lose our top 3 corners, as I have previously mentioned. So a lot of new starters this year, especially at cornerback, and our pass defense wasn't particularly well this year. We only had 9 interceptions as a team, and only one of those interceptions is on a player that's returning to the roster next year. Moving on, here are the division standings in the Big Ten West. We were tied for first place, but with 4 other teams. We were tied for 3rd place in the overall conference with 6 total teams at 5-4. That is a ridiculous tie-breaking scenario there that I'm not about ready to break down. But now we're moving on to the off-season, and you can see all of our graduates. Nobody wanted to leave through transfers, which was a big thing. I've lost a couple key players before in the UTSA Dynasty to transferring, and I did not want to lose a player like Doug Duckett, a 4-star receiver that I redshirted and didn't play. And so we lost some very good players, especially on offense. Our running back Tanel Kirkwood, Devin Crawford-Tuss, and Isaac Frichte, but nobody went pro on our team, at least in the draft. And we also, for the first time ever, I have received a transfer request. A left tackle from Iowa wants to come to the Maroon and Gold. I, of course, accepted, and he won't be able to play this year, but he'll develop, and he'll be a left tackle for us going forward in a couple of years. But we had 15 seniors graduate this year, and up to this point, I had 9 signings for commits in the recruiting. So a few more spots to fill, and obviously this is going to be Philip Nelson's last year as a senior. So I was looking at a quarterback, Stephen Cooper, some running backs, Lamar Washington, a JUCO transfer, Stephen Thompson, J.J. Mack, a couple receivers here and there. We already had the big 5-star commit, who he's not really an elite receiver, but he's definitely good enough to play on our team. Some defensive ends I'm looking at, trying to get as many pass rushers as possible, especially that big boy Jerry Jackson. And because our pass defense was pretty poor this year, I'm trying to bolster the secondary as best as I can, but we'll see how things go. A lot of turnover with the roster and a lot of new players. But now I had to decide how I was going to strategize to get the players that I wanted the most. And the top 3 that I wanted were quarterback Spencer Cooper, halfback Lamar Washington, and defensive end Jerry Jackson, who I decided to go all in on at defensive end. I wasn't even going to go for Blake Myers or Michael Byers. I wanted Jerry Jackson, and we had to jump over Arizona to do so. And in the first year, in the first offseason, out of my top 3 that I wanted, I only got 1 of those players. So here we go. In Season 2, we get Jerry Jackson, the defensive end, 6'7", 267, a big defensive end. That's what I wanted. And we also got Wesley McCutcheon, a receiver, Taylor Larson, Anthony Parks, and the other 2 guys that I wanted, Spencer Cooper and Lamar Washington. So I did a really good job of making sure I got the players that I wanted this time around and realizing how difficult it could be after Season 1. And we finished with the 41st ranked recruiting class. I thought we had a pretty good class. We had 1 5-star receiver, 2 4-stars, a defensive end, and a quarterback. And then a lot of 3-star players. Most of them won't play for a couple of years, as I'll redshirt many of them, and they'll be depth players for the meantime. Now it is time to jump forward to training results and see who got better and by how much. On this list, you can see on paper our top players. A lot of offense there. Philip Nelson, now an 87 overall. He got faster in the offseason, some better throw accuracy and throw power. At running back, no more Kirkwood. It's going to be a 4-headed attack, it looks like. We got Roderick Williams, Kevin Martindale, Berkeley Edwards, and Calvin Pope. We're also going to use our fullbacks quite a bit, and now we have another one to play with, Will Thompson, a faster fullback than Tyler Hartman. And we're going to use a lot of backs this year, I promise. Now here is the receiver I'm very excited to play with, Doug Duckett. He's going to play in the slot a lot in his first season. He doesn't have elite speed, but he has very good acceleration, and that can make him very dangerous running underneath. At tight end, this is what I'm excited for. Adam Kirkpatrick. Finally, I got my receiving tight end. He didn't transfer away like in UTSA Dynasty. I want to use him quite a bit. Adam Kirkpatrick is going to be our receiving tight end. Lincoln Fulsek is more of our blocking tight end, so I'll do some formation subbing and figure out ways to get Kirkpatrick on the field, but I'm really excited about some of these players that I'm finally able to play with after redshirting. Here's a strength we have, defensive tackle. Look at these players, Damaris Peppers, Maurice Manning, John Meyer. All these guys are either redshirt sophomores or younger. They're going to be here for a while, and they're already very good. At linebacker, we have an interesting situation. We're going to have Jack Lynn as our new starting middle linebacker as Damian Wilson graduated, but we're also going to see something new at outside linebacker. I'll talk about that more a little bit later. At cornerback, Sam Graves appears to be the man going forward. Our number one guy, we have senior Eric Murray behind him. We'll figure out who's going to be the better starter at the number one spot, but they're both going to start initially. At safety, no major standouts. Andre Gaines, the redshirt freshman, is likely going to be the starter on day one, as we have no returning strong safeties. And on this screen, you can see a lot of our fast players are linebackers and a corner. We got Devondre Campbell and Ray Dixon, two speedy linebackers. I want to get more of the big play element into our offense, but now we're going to move on to cutting players. Only two this time around, and I felt like Brett Daniel, we had enough depth there at defensive tackle, so I cut him, and now one more, and look at this. Leon Daniels, a 40 overall middle linebacker, and I can't cut him. I can't do it. We have to have three middle linebackers. It won't let me cut the worst player on the team with 62 speed. Leon Daniels has to be on the team this year. I can't move anybody else to a new position right now, so I had to keep him, and I had to cut Scott Ekpe. I didn't want to have to do this, but I had to keep Leon Daniels. The game made me, and he became quickly the talk of the entire chat in the live stream. I can't imagine the comment sections this year and how they're going to be with Leon Daniels, everybody wanting him to play for some reason. But going forward now, redshirting with Spencer Cooper, Wesley McCutcheon, David Clark, the true freshman, he's down on the depth chart. He's not getting redshirted. He's going to be our returner this year. He's our fastest receiver already. On the offensive line, we're going to redshirt a lot of our depth. If worse comes to worse, we're going to end up taking the redshirt off somebody. I'm also redshirting a junior because I want to have a good backup plan for the next 2 years at left tackle after our current left tackle graduates this upcoming season. At defensive tackle, because we had to cut two of these guys, and I didn't want to have to cut two, we're going to keep Ben Alexander, the true freshman from Canada, on the active roster, no redshirting. Then two new corners that we received, or two of them anyway, are going to be redshirted. We also had one that was a junior college transfer. But overall, a lot of the new players ended up getting redshirted. We're only going to have a couple true freshmen play. One of those is David Clark, as you see the depth chart here. Drew Wolodarski and Andre McDonald on the outside, with Doug Duckett working the slot, along with Andre a little bit. And here's the big change at linebacker. I don't think Dan Smith had a very good first year as a true freshman starter, and so he's going to be replaced by Ray Dixon, at least for the time being. I'm giving Ray Dixon the shot to open up the season. We'll see how he plays. And here is our schedule. We open at home against NC State, a tough out-of-conference game. And then we're going to travel to the East Coast to play UTSA in a neutral site game at MetLife Stadium. I can't wait to see what the stadium looks like in the game, but I'm really excited to begin year 3. And here are some of the customizations I did to players at the latter part of the live stream. To our running backs, Kevin Martindale is going to get some playing time this year. He's our speedy running back. He's our fastest guy in the backfield. At wide receiver, I've talked about him before, Doug Duckett, the new slot receiver. He'll play on the outside some as well. And David Clark, his role is kind of undefined at this point besides being a returner, but I want to get him into the offense sometime, but he's just buried on the depth chart right now behind like 6 other guys. So you can see a handful of other players here, including Leon Daniels, everybody's favorite player now, I guess. Okay, Leon Daniels, there he is. He's on the kickoff team. That's it. He's only playing kickoff team, and if we're ever up by 30, he might play then. But we're transitioning now to off-season recruiting for year 3. And we have 14 seniors this time around. And this is where the live stream got very exciting. First off, I checked out the Spark 100. You can see a handful of players already have Minnesota as a high interest on their boards, including one was number 1 and a couple were top 3. And so I added a lot of those guys to our board, and then I wanted to check out who was basically Minnesota was their top choice right now, their top interest. I looked at that entire list, and here's that list. A lot of 4-star players, a lot of really good talent that I wanted to scout and get a look at for this upcoming recruiting season. And I can't ever remember any of my Dynasty seasons seeing this many players that were this good have us as their top interest, including a middle linebacker named Matt Ryan. Of course I was going to check out how good he was. I put him on the board immediately. And then it was time to see how good some of these players really were. 75 overall projected wide receiver Martin Parker. Scout him. He's got good speed, great route running, and I feel like we have some good receivers already, so it'd be nice to continue to build this pistol offense and get a ton of playmakers out here. And then offensive line, we got to get that a lot better as well. And I found myself a nice gem at left tackle, Max Sanders. Could be a good tackle for us going forward. How about MrHurriicane defensive end? You don't strike gold every time. There's a bust, so we take him off the board. How about some athletes? I don't usually go after these guys. How about Tyrone Campbell, a 77 projected overall athlete at 6'1", 206, and guys, he is a quarterback. He can throw, 90 throw power, 81 throw accuracy with 88 speed. Could you find anyone better to run this pistol offense to perfection? Our quarterback graduates this year, and I want to get Tyrone Campbell on this football team. I am going all in to get him this year. Max points every week. Trying my hardest to get him. We're down about 160 or so to Nebraska right off the bat, but it's going to be a fight to get him. We got to get Tyrone Campbell on our team, otherwise we're going to have to play against him. Moving forward, how about a running back again, Maurice Pratt, and he's got some great speed, but that 57 carrying could be an issue going forward. Trying to get some more speed on the offense and some more playmakers, and so getting that quarterback and that running back would definitely help. But going forward, week 1 is going to be against NC State. And in the stream, we're all very excited for basically season 4 to come up now because of this recruiting class and what it could potentially become. And you guys will get a lot of recruiting updates this year for a lot of these players because there are so many good players that were already highly interested in us that I had to put them on the board, and we found a lot of gems in the stream as well. So it could be a very fun season come season 4, but we have a new season in front of us right now we have to focus on. And I edited the playbook even further to add more pistol, more shotgun, as that's the identity of our offense even more going forward. That's the way I'm building this offense, just trying to get as many playmakers as possible and finding creative ways to get them the football, just like we tried to do last year. I think it's going to be even better this time around, but we open up season 3 at home against NC State, as I'm really looking forward to getting this season going and seeing what happens with not only the current roster, but recruiting. And I will keep you guys updated on the recruiting side of things, as there's a lot of players that people are excited about. And I feel like overall the live stream generated a lot of interest for this upcoming season, and I'm really looking forward to kicking off week 1. That is the next video in this series, Minnesota and NC State as season 3 debuts. And I hope you guys are as excited as I am for the upcoming season in the Minnesota Gophers Dynasty. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. And I'll see you guys in week 1 of season 3. Have a great day.